Today, it's my honor to introduce you to a true example of Black brilliance, Jimmy Williams Jr., a former Navy pilot who took the discipline, leadership, and vision he learned in the military and turned it into a business empire. He's truly a modern-day Calvin, starting from working at his local McDonald's near his childhood home, and today owning and operating more than 25 McDonald's franchises across the country. Jimmy is building wealth, creating jobs, and inspiring the next generation of Black entrepreneurs. His story, Flight Plan to Fortune, the journey from Navy pilot to franchise mogul, is a testament to what's possible when purpose meets opportunity. I hope his incredible journey motivates you as much as it inspires us all. Here's our host, Emmy Award-winning journalist, Ed Gordon.
I met Jimmy Williams in his hometown of East St. Louis, Illinois, in front of his childhood home. The place, as you'll soon find out, that cultivated his dreams, that grew his spirit, and nurtured a young boy, allowing him to have a distinguished military career and become one of America's great CEOs.
How important is legacy to you? Not necessarily your personal legacy, but what you will leave through this business, through your mentoring programs, through your scholarships. Give me a sense of how important it is to you and and this is one of those questions that is kind of interviewer 101, but it does reflect on people in terms of what you want that legacy to be.
You know, I've mentioned a couple of times that my father, my mother, and so many would talk about Jimmy Williams being worthy. I think whether it's generational wealth or whether it's generational opportunity, whether it's the mental mindset that so many instilled in me, hopefully my legacy is that I've done the same. And not just for my immediate family, but for others as well.
It's very evident how important family is, and just the way you speak of your parents and your time growing up. And I would suspect that if I talked to your children and your family, they would feel the same way. Talk to me about that next generation, those who are starting to kind of follow in your footsteps.
God, it makes me smile. Thank you for talking about them. My son is a junior over at Loyola Marymount in Los Angeles. And he's raring to go, loves McDonald's. Paige is here today. She's my niece. She loves McDonald's, and she's a significant part, of our business. Certainly my wife, my daughter. So our whole family is McDonald's. It's often said that, small business is really small family business. And that's certainly true here. The things that I learned as a young boy, I try to make sure that I communicate those things to Paige, to Chelsea, to Casey, certainly to my son, Trey. Extremely important because they help me. The things that Dr. Ben Davis or Geta Asfaw and others would say to me, I definitely say today. How important it is to let them know they are worthy. How important it is to let them know, they've got to work for everything they get. They do. How important it is. My son and I are reading a book now, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie, reading it together. My niece, reading the book Thou Shalt Prosper by Rabbi Daniel Lapine. Extremely important for me to get over the importance, the formative things they need to do to be successful in life, the game of life. So when you talk about family and you talk about business, McDonald's is made up of a lot of small family businesses.
What's the one lesson that you were taught that you wanted to make sure the generation that followed, not only within your household and within your bloodline, but those that
have kind of gravitated toward you, your tribe. What's the one lesson you want to make sure that they receive?
I tell my entire family all the time that they are worthy. You are worthy. This thing called the American dream is extremely important. The opportunity out here each and every day. Now, how do you grasp that opportunity? The mentors, the sponsors. How do you grab that opportunity? Well, it's the grit that you need day in and day out, the perseverance. You're gonna get knocked down out here. We talked about that. You gotta get back up. So day in and day out, I'm delivering those messages. And by the way, not just to my immediate family, because I got 1,300 people that work with me day in and day out, and they're my family. And I'm delivering that message as well.
You mentioned the American dream. There are a lot of people who don't believe in that anymore. They don't see it, they can't grasp it. They look around and see pillars that are falling. They're looking at things that heretofore Americans took for granted and thought they'd always be there. What do you tell people who really, your life has been just that, the traditional kind of Hollywood American dream? How do you convince people it's still attainable?
I had an amazing father. He went through a lot. As you know, the civil rights movement. I had an amazing mother. Growing up down south, the Great Migration was important. And we arrived in East St. Louis, Illinois. I'm not quite so sure that things for me were as rosy as you think. Although I know that I won the lottery with the messages that my father and my mother and other folks in East St. Louis would deliver to me day in and day out. My role models, let's say Colin Powell, Chappie James, and a host of others. They believed in that thing called the American dream. But they thought, Jimmy, you gotta work for it. You gotta network for it. When you get down, you gotta get back up. That's the way this thing works. I've been to 29 different countries, and often I'm asked, what's your favorite country? I don't hesitate. My favorite country is the US. So I would say to you and to so many others, the American dream is alive and well, but we gotta work for it. We gotta network for it. You gotta have grit. And if you do, you're gonna end up in a great place. So in my mentoring group that we have every summer, that's the message I deliver. Is it perfect out here? No way. It's not, but it wasn't perfect when I was young either. But I'd be doing a disservice to the young people that I work with day in and day out if I don't remind them of the individuals in my past who made an impact on my life and what they said to me then. But there's no give up here. Not at all. That's not the way it works.
I want you to tell me, if you will, share with us, you wrote a letter to your son. And I suspect, again, I look at the reverence you have for what your parents passed on to you, and I suspect this was an opportunity for you to do the same. Give me a sense of first, why you wanted it in letter form, and secondly, what you are comfortable in sharing with us, what you told him.
Absolutely. My son, and my entire family, very special to me. My wife mentioned to me, and we have letters that my father wrote to me. And she says, Jimmy, you need to write a letter to Trey. And so I did. And so the first letter I wrote him, I detailed the importance of Doc Davis, of my father, the conversations that we would have. I also extended that and I said, son, that spatula has a very important meaning in our family. The spatula that I used at the East St. Louis McDonald's, I wish I still had it. But that spatula was very important. It reminds me of so much. I talked about catching the early bus. I talked about the work ethic, the grit, the perseverance, I didn't talk about the communication skills or the things that Dr. Ben Davis did for me. Now we're sophisticated and we have something called Archways to Opportunity, where we give scholarships to young people. We meet them where they are, whether it's going to a junior college, English as a second language, going to college. We have one of my supervisors here today who's got her master's degree with Archways to Opportunity. Well, back in those days, we didn't have that. And so that Archways to Opportunity was Dr. Ben Davis. That Archways to Opportunity was my father. And so I had to communicate that in this letter to my son. The importance of that spatula, the importance of McDonald's in my life since I was 16 years of age. So that was the first letter that I wrote him. And I wrote it to him because of his exuberance and his desire. He's in college now. He's majoring in business, and he wants to be a part of this thing called McDonald's. But I had to let him know the foundation of it. So that's why I wrote the letter.
Behind every great leader is a story. Jimmy's niece Paige and his business partner Corneliuss share what they've learned on the journey.
I would say his commitment to the business and also developing his team, leaning on his team and building that culture of care within the organization. He's always up for a challenge. He's a true go-getter and up for anything.
Number one, always have a positive attitude. Number two, never forget about the big picture. Number three, have the ability to adapt. And number four, learn from your failures. Absolutely, because there's nothing that we can't absolutely do.
Well, Jimmy, let me steal from that to say it's been an absolute pleasure to sit with you, and congratulations on all of your success.
And what a pleasure to get to know you, and thank you so very much for allowing me to say a little bit about our family business, to say a little bit about McDonald's. Thank you so very much.